Join our incredible moms who have mastered the art of balancing motherhood in today's episode of We Time Convo.
My name is Debbie.
This is Liza.
Moms sharing inspiring stories, practical tips, and a few hilarious anecdotes. And it all begins now.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of We Time Convo. I'm Debbie.
Liza.
And today we have two special guests with us. We have Paul and Isaiah. Could you guys give us an intro?
Hello, I am Isaiah. I am Paul's son and Irene's son. And Auntie Debbie and Auntie Liza are family friends. So they've known me for quite a while. I'm currently going into my sophomore year of college.
And you're here for the summer.
And I'm here for the summer, yes.
I'm also here for the summer. I'm Paul, and I'm Isaiah's dad. Yeah, I've known Debbie and Liza for a few years since the kids were small, and we've done a lot of fun things together. And today I'm here to talk a little bit about...
We're going to talk about your experiences in moving your family out of the U.S. to another country, right?
Yes. So, Paul, you remember a few years back, you guys shocked us. So we are a very tight-knit group. And so it was very shocking when we heard you guys had decided to actually move away. And so it would be great to kind of rehash that a little bit and kind of understand the decisions around, really that was a big decision because you have 3 kids. They were all in different age groups, and to really have the courage to really like get up, pick up, leave, and go completely, not just to another state, but to another country. And Isaiah, I think it would be great to kind of get your perspective of that experience. Just from an outsider, it seems both courageous and scary at the same time. And overall, I think for me, I would expect that to be a very unique experience, and just understanding how'd you get the courage to do that?
Yeah, and how long ago was this?
Or am I playing it up a little too much?
It's fine. It's fine. It's been 5 years since we first moved out,
Really?
and then we were there for almost 3 years. And
where did you move to, Paul?
We moved to Germany, just south of Frankfurt. It was on a job assignment. And the lead up to it was kind of interesting. Irene had been bugging me for years saying, hey, let's live overseas. So I had told her stories about expats. A friend of ours had moved to Singapore. Some other friends moved to Italy. So she had put the bug in my ear, but I had always thought it was not the right time, or there was other things going on, so we couldn't make it. But finally, one day, my boss pulls me into his office and says, hey, we're thinking about making this recommendation for this project, and I'd like to get your opinion on it. And I said, whoa, well, I think I know who would be interested in that job. And he said, who would be interested? And I said, oh, Irene would be interested.
Good call.
Yeah, and then he looked at me in the eye and he said, if you want to make this decision, you need to let me know in an hour, because I'm going to talk to the manager. I walked out of the office, called up Irene. Irene said, yeah, let's go for it. I walked back in the office. Okay, we're in.
So did you even have a conversation with the kids, or Isaiah, did you already know beforehand?
No, I had no idea. I had literally no idea.
We dragged them along.
Yeah.
And how did you feel about that?
Man,
because what grade were you in at that? You must have been in middle school?
Yeah, I was in 8th grade. And originally, the first ever conversation that we had about it was, I think it was just dinner. And they were like, well, how would you guys feel about living in Germany? And I was like, okay, this is just a hypothetical. It's not going to happen at all. So I was like, yeah, mom and dad. Yeah, it would be cool. It's whatever. So I was like, yeah, it's not going to happen yet. And then, I don't know, I guess as time goes on, I kept asking them. They kept talking about it. And I was like, Dad, what's the chance that we're moving to Germany? He's like, oh, it's like 5%. It's not going to happen. And then it goes up to like 30% the next time I asked.
Just went
and then
up
next
and up.
week, it's like 80%. I was like, wait, Dad, like really? Like, And it's like, and then eventually it was like, yeah, we're going to go to Germany.
Mm-hmm. And it was a mad rush because it was actually in the fall semester for the kids.
Wow.
So it actually happened during the school time.
Yeah. The initial request was, I think, in September or maybe August, September timeframe. And then I went through a series of interviews and discussions with the team. And finally, I got to go. And then we had to rush because you have to find housing, you have to find a school. The kids were already in school here in the US. And so there was a lot to it. And the company had assigned another relocation consultant to kind of help us through it.
Did you know how long you were going to be living in Germany, or was it just?
It was supposed to be 1 year.
Oh, okay.
It was supposed to be 1 year. And then I said, well, if it's only a year, then we need to put the kids in English school, in an English speaking school, like an international school. But if it's more than 1 year, then the kids can go to public school and learn German. They would just have to struggle for the first 6 months or a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm curious to know how schooling is. So how do you transfer, your kids living in the US to the schooling in Germany? How does that happen? Is it a different grade level? Like, how do they do the grading? Like, we have 9th, 10th, 11th. Is it different in Germany?
Yes. The schooling system is different because they have this, what do you call it, Isaiah?
Which one?
Their schooling grading system. They have
So in Germany, there's like different levels of schools, and so the highest like kind of tier of school is called Realschule. Oh no, it's called Gymnasium. So that's gymnasium, gym in English. And I don't know why it's called that, but yeah, like when you enter high school, you take a test to see which tier of school you can get into, and like only gymnasium students can get into college. So it's like really important. Like when you're like 9 or 10, like basically almost
your whole
the
life
entire
is decided at
course
9 or
of your
10.
life. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which is quite different than here in the US.
Yeah, I'm not an expert on it. It was just through our experience, but Germany seems to have a system where they route people to a technical path, a hands-on technical path, blue-collar jobs, which are highly paid, right, in Germany. They have a strong union system and workers' councils. But the other way is they go through this gymnasium in high school, and then which is hard to get into if you don't get in there right away. And then those guys get routed into the more professional path. Doctors, lawyers, engineers, that sort of thing.
Got it. And is that something, because Isaiah, you had mentioned that you were in middle school.
Yeah.
And Alina was also kind of in that bucket as well at that time, I would say, right?
It was early for her. She was just starting junior high.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you guys also experience that for...
Ben was the easiest because he's elementary school. Alina was okay because she was coming off of her charter school, remember?
Yes.
With your kids.
Yes.
And then there was kind of this strange period where after the charter school, there wasn't a predefined path. A lot of the parents were just going in different directions. We ended up just going really farther away. Yeah. But we skipped that whole system because of that 1 year timeline. And we said, oh, we need to go to English speaking school, the international school. So the kids it's kind of a third or fourth option, right? You have the gymnasium, you have what is the second tier? Realschule, and then there's another one. Hauptschule, yeah, which is like the lower grade school. And then so by going to international school, any student can go there if you can just pay and pass like some preliminary test.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So that seemed the more logical route considering the time frame that you guys were expected to be out there.
Yeah. But we ended up staying longer. We got extended each year up until the last, yeah.
So as parents, and obviously I know all three of your kids and they have distinct personalities.
They do.
So did you, as parents, how did you guys handle, were they all three excited and gung-ho? So you didn't have any of those challenges, or?
The kids were fantastic, I'd say. I think Irene and I were really lucky that the kids are super flexible, and we tried to give them the mindset that it's going to be this big adventure, and that we didn't really fear too much. I don't know why, and the kids never complained about it, fear too much about losing their friends. They can maintain their friends, but it wasn't too much of a concern. I know other families, when they move overseas, there's a lot of angst. I think it was the age where they were still kind of flexible and didn't have their kind of high school clique yet, which would have been pretty a big deal, right? If you had left right in the middle of high school.
Yeah.
Right. You left at the start of ninth grade.
I left eighth grade. Yeah.
Eighth grade. Okay. So you had not gotten that one yet.
It's so cool that you have open-minded kids, because I can already see Ava just trying to run away.
Yeah, I mean,
She would not be happy with me, especially at this age. High school is different.
Paul, this is a great point, because I actually experienced it obviously on a lower scale with Vanessa, because to your point, when she was at the charter school, we were trying to figure out which direction she was going, because the charter school had extended to first it was 6th grade, and then it extended to 8th grade.
Yeah, that's right.
And at first I was all for her going all the way up to 8th grade, but then somewhere down the line I changed my mind, and she also agreed that once she completed 6th grade, she was going to go ahead and transfer over to a junior high.
Yeah.
So a completely different set of kids, her friends. And it is great to see that she only knew a couple of people, but they were all at that time, they're all boys. So it wasn't like she had her girlfriends.
Yeah.
So for her, she was kind of on her own in junior high. And
Yep.
so it is really great to see, like, I think sometimes, and maybe you'll get surprised, Ava you think she might be hesitant, but it's interesting that you can see kids are very resilient and they figure it out.
They figure it out. But we had a story. So I had gotten some advice from coworkers that had done the same thing previously, and they said that they struggled. Well, one of the guys said that he struggled with his teenage son. That at first it was kind of okay, and then later it was just kind of depressing, and that he had complained the whole time and had just didn't enjoy the experience at all. So I was worried about that. I wasn't sure how the kids would take it, but I think based on the other mini vacations that we've had, I don't know if that compares, but they were pretty flexible.
Got it. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a big change outside of friends. You're talking about culture.
Yeah.
You're talking about food.
Language,
Yeah.
Right. And those are huge to kind of get accustomed to outside of obviously friends. So Isaiah, did you feel like it was an adventure?
Man, it's crazy because I think about Germany like every once in a while, and I try to think about what I was thinking at that time. And I really can't like recall what I was even thinking. Like I was just like I was literally just going with the flow. With Dad was like, we're going to Germany. I was like, okay. And then I don't know if I guess I saw it as a little bit exciting, and I knew that I would still have friends to come back to when I get back to San Jose, but I really wasn't thinking about it like Germany. Like I was just like, okay, whatever happens next is gonna happen. Like
now, do you feel like the reason why you had that perspective was the way that your mom and dad treated the whole situation?
Yeah, definitely had a big part to play in it, because they were like, oh, it's gonna be a really huge adventure, and we're gonna
so they did a positive spin, more sometimes matter of fact versus focusing on potential negative aspects of it.
Yeah. I think my parents are really good at trying to, I don't know, not focus on the negative aspects of things.
Well, we tried. We did consult you guys before the decision was made. Well, the decision was made in 10 minutes, but we did try to prepare a little bit that night. And then as we went along, it became more and more firm.
Now, out of curiosity, if you felt one of the kids was just very they just
Completely
resisted,
opposed. Yeah.
completely opposed, do you think that you would have changed your mind, or it was pretty set? You were just going to have to figure out how to
We would have to just figure it out. I think we would have to make some kind of accommodation.
Knock them out
Yeah.
and then put them on the plane. And just have them wake up there in Germany.
That was the day when we left. Remember, we had woken up early. We had all our bags packed. We had how many bags? Like 15, 16 bags, luggages, because we didn't have like a container that we filled up. It was just our bags, and we paid extra for the extra luggages. And that was it. And then so we were at the airport, and there's still a picture with us, with all surrounded by all our luggages, and the kids half asleep, with frowns on their faces because they had just woken up. And we dragged them to the airport in the morning, and then just got on the plane.
Yeah.
All at once. And you don't realize until the day of that this is reality. It's actually happening. You had done all the planning, you had done all the kind of envisioning, but until that day, yeah, you didn't see it. And then when you finally experience it, oh, we're actually doing this. And then when we landed in the airport in Frankfurt,
We're really doing
we're
this.
here.
Like, no turning back.
And there was no celebration. We were just like in a hurry. Okay, we got to go get the car. We got to go get a shuttle. We got to bring all their stuff. And it was just a mad rush to the townhouse that we had gotten rented.
Wow.
So when we arrived, I think it was January 5th, and the house was super cold, and it was in the middle of winter, and there was no heat in the house. It turns out that nobody understood it, not even the landlady nor the relo agent. Nobody knew why the house was cold. The heat was on, and it's oil heat that goes through the floor. So it's not like here in the US where you have this kind of air vents running through the house and it's just blowing hot air through the house. It's actually radiating through the floor. But it takes days to heat up, and no one knew. And so we're waiting. We said, there's no heat. And it's like, it's in the middle of winter, there's no heat. And then the relo agent's like, oh, but the children. She was so concerned for the kids.
Aw.
There was so much concern.
That's
and
so sweet.
And so the landlady ran out to the local Target, which is called Real, and she purchased little space heaters, electric space heaters. And in Germany, electricity is very expensive.
Oh.
But we had the whole house heating with space heaters until it took about maybe a week till the house stabilized to get warm again.
That's interesting.
Yeah. But it was just the relo agent, Inez was her name. Yeah. The children. She was always so worried about the kids.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so sweet.
I'm just curious, you guys were there. What was the biggest challenge that you guys faced as a family, and how did you guys manage that?
For me, I didn't think that there was any real big obstacle. It was like waking up as a baby and everything is fresh and new and exciting. Every day was joyful.
Mm-hmm.
Every day was like waking up and thinking you're on vacation. That's what it really felt like. Maybe in certain situations, of course, some immigrants come here and it's under duress, right? But there are a lot of people that come to the US that, for me, seem quite happy. I don't know if you guys notice, but folks that are coming on from more wealthy backgrounds and they come to the US, they seem kind of more excited. I don't know. But that's how I felt every day. I felt like every day was kind of interesting. I look on the signage and I don't understand anything. So maybe that would be the language barrier.
Mm-hmm.
German is very difficult to learn.
And they don't have, like, in certain countries, it's very English friendly,
Yeah.
like English speaking friendly.
Yeah.
Do you find in Germany that was the case?
Yeah. Now, what's interesting is you'll go to local places like a gas station, and the only difference between their procedure and our procedure is you pump first
And then pay.
and then pay.
So they're very trustworthy.
Yeah. So you go in, you pump, you start pumping, then you go in and you tell them, this pump, and then you pay.
You can't do that.
Okay,
here.
that would never happen.
I would just pump, especially with gas prices here. Just pump and leave.
Yeah.
Now, could you actually leave?
You could, you'd be on camera. You'd
Got
get
it.
caught. But yeah, there's a lot of cameras. I've never seen anyone get busted or in trouble for it, but yeah, there's a lot of cameras. But what's interesting is that all the procedures are the same except for one, and I'll mention that later. When you pay for gas, you know how you go in, you put the pump into your gas container, right? And then you start pumping, and then you fill up, and then you go pay. And then when you pay, you hear the German person say blah 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 blah. And you're thinking they're probably asking me how I want to pay. And then I just put cash on the counter, and they take it, and it's changed, and I get the cash back. I look at it and I go, okay, I got it's correct. And then I say danke. That's it.
And you did that for 3 years.
Well, I did that until I kind of understood what they're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. That is a very shift in culture.
It's a shift in language, but the activity is the same. The actions of paying for things is almost the same. If I took out the credit card and I'll say karte, and then she's like, okay. And then she just goes back, presses some buttons, the number comes up, and then she shoves the machine in your face, and then you just like slide it in, and it's all the same. And then you sign. They'll print out something and you sign, and then that's the same. But the only difference was because it was always the same, even in any store, except the grocery store had one odd thing. When you go to the grocery store, we came up with a bunch of vegetables and fruits. And then the lady started going blah 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 blah, and we didn't know what do we do. They walked us over to a counter over by where the fruits and vegetables were, and you have to get a bag, put it into the bag, weigh it, print out a sticker, wrap it in there, and then go to the front.
Got it. So something that we here in the U.S. that we would expect somebody else to do.
Yeah.
Over there, you would do it yourself.
You do it yourself. You put the sticker on the bag, and then they'll just ring it up. They don't weigh it at the counter. But because all the procedures and steps for buying things was almost the same from modern retailers, then you didn't have to even know the language. You can kind of guess.
Get by.
Yeah. So for the first month or so, I was just getting by. And just buying things and kind of guessing what they're saying. And a lot of times I would try to start to speak German a little bit, like kann ich haben, can I have, or something like this. And then they would notice, oh, he's horrible. And then they would just break out the English.
So did you find a lot of the Germans did speak English?
Yeah. Especially the closer you got into Frankfurt, there's a lot of tourists there, and there's a lot of a very international community. Then there's a lot more English speakers.
Right.
Yeah.
I just want to say it's pretty funny. I was in 8th grade at the time, so I didn't have that much experience buying vegetables and fruits from the grocery store. And so I guess like kind of Germany was my kind of first experience of that. And so when I came back here in America, I was actually confused on how to buy vegetables and groceries. I was actually looking for the scale. I was like, do we measure it somewhere? I was like looking around the produce aisle. I was like, are we supposed to measure it somewhere?
Yeah.
And then I realized you actually can just go to the person and they'll just ring you in. Yeah.
So Isaiah, how is it like being a teenager growing up in Germany?
Oh,
like
man.
what do kids do there?
What do
Like,
kids
is it
do?
different from here? Like, I don't know.
The drinking
man.
age is younger.
The drinking age is younger.
Like
for
it's
sure.
normal for
Yeah,
kids to be
Was
served.
it 18?
I think it's 16.
16?
Whoa,
16,
really?
and actually I think it's like 15 for like beer and
Yeah.
like lighter alcohols, I guess.
Yeah. And they can like
and
you
you-
see them they can smoke sometimes, and
Yeah.
But they don't
it's
even
more-
like party hard like the kids here, right? Because
I
are they
would
not as the
say-
teenagers not as crazy over there, or
I don't know in general. Like I think Frankfurt might be a bit more of a unique culture. Maybe there's a lot of international influence in Frankfurt because there's a lot of immigrants. But there is I think they do party a lot.
I think so too.
I wonder if they can hold their liquor better.
Oh, for sure. I think
They can start younger, and it's just more normal.
it's
just-
more normal to smoke. Like my
Here's-
classmates are smoking, and
So that being said, because you came from America and we have a different perspective
Yes,
of
yes.
when the kids can smoke, when the kids can drink. Over there, because their age is younger, did you adjust? Like if one of the kids did say, and they were at that age, would you be we're in Germany.
Yeah, I think I'd been okay with it. It's
I did. Just
You
look
missed
at me
out.
like, really?
Like, and now
I
I'm here.
missed it. I missed the opportunity.
I think that we make too much of a big deal of maybe some of these things, and then so that when finally the kids get of age of 21, then it's just
They
going
just
nuts.
don't. They just don't know how to handle it.
Yeah, and they just go nuts. Maybe some of them.
Yes. Yes. Oh, it very interesting because I do have Armenian friend,
Mhm.
and in their culture, it actually isn't taboo for young. Well, when I say young, 15
Yeah.
age to actually drink.
Uh-huh.
They don't. They actually don't see anything wrong with that, and they,
Mhm.
and she said from a cultural perspective, it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, maybe when you're young, you have there are taboos, and when something is taboo, then maybe you want it more.
Mm.
And when
true. It's like a psychological thing.
maybe when it's available, then no big deal, right?
Yeah, we're just irresponsible. Our kids are here.
I don't know. I don't know.
So, are there drinking and driving laws in Germany?
Oh yeah, it's quite
Okay.
strict.
Okay.
It's very strict. It's like half a beer could be in your blood, and you'd get in trouble.
So
Yeah.
they take.
So
they
it's almost
take
zero
very
tolerance.
serious.
Yeah.
But isn't their speed limit higher than ours?
No, it's actually a little bit slower.
Oh.
Yeah, but there is the Autobahn,
Mhm.
and so there's parts of the highway and freeways that have no speed limit.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's I think I've heard that, but I probably extended it too.
Yeah, what's interesting is when you fly over Germany, next time you guys go, look out the window, and you'll see that it looks like villages, and then lots and lots of fields, and then villages. So connected by like a road. And so it looks like kind of a spider's web with little nodes. Yeah, and in between those villages, when there's an open highway, then you can drive as fast as you can.
God. Wow. Did you take advantage of that?
Yeah, but we didn't have. Well, the car rentals that we had a Volkswagen Touran, which is a 7-seater family car.
Yeah.
It couldn't go that fast even if you floored it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How is it different from raising a family here than raising a family in Germany?
Oh, I really enjoyed it because when I was growing up, and you guys too probably, you could just go around the neighborhood and you didn't have fear of your neighbors, or you didn't have fear of strangers grabbing your kids or anything like that. And that's what it felt like there. When we first arrived, we saw kids riding their bikes by themselves. You saw kids walking by themselves,
Taking the bus.
taking the
riding
bus on their
bikes to
own,
school.
and it was just normal. And here in the US, you see a kid walking around by themselves,
Calling the cops.
Yeah, you're
You're
like,
like child endangerment.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it's true. I went to Japan and also experienced very similar. You had elementary school kids taking the subway,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't have their parents around. I mean, we're talking about 7-year-olds. I would never I don't know. I think when Vanessa asked to like walk home or to like even go to the mall, it was significantly like at her teenage year.
Yeah.
I'm 42 and I don't trust myself out in the street in San Jose. So no, I get it, but I love that. I miss that. I grew up the same way.
Yeah.
You know, my mom didn't expect me home till after dinner. Didn't even worry
Like
about
during the day, right?
Yeah, during the day. Like she didn't even worry until,
Yeah.
you know.
And
got
I
home.
mean, the kids had this classmate. What was her name? You guys know?
Mia.
Mia.
Yeah.
Third grader, I think.
Yeah.
Third
Yeah.
grader. And she would just go home by herself. Sometimes she'd ride with us and we'd give her a ride if we were there. Other times we were driving home and we'd see her just walking along the road by herself. Just go to her house all by her own. And her parents would just arrive that evening.
Yeah.
The funny thing about Mia is that she knew about Ben because they were in the same grade, and she knew that Ben lived in the same neighborhood as her, but she didn't know where Ben lived and where we were, and she used the telephone book to actually search us up and find her address. And then one day she just shows up, she rings the doorbell, and it's like, oh, it's Mia. Hi, Mia. And then we're like, how'd you find her address? Like, how do you know we're here?
Yeah.
And it was the telephone book. She told us. Yeah.
Wow, they have phone books there.
Yeah.
I haven't
Yes.
seen one of those in a while.
Yeah. We had phone books. They would be dropped off at the front. I think we received during that time maybe 3 or 4 different phone books. They get updated regularly.
So it sounds like you just felt a little safer.
Yeah, much safer.
Wow.
Like, do you guys leave your door unlocked? Like, your
We
door
never
unlocked,
did,
or-
but we could have. Yeah, we could have. And then the kids, they would just run around the neighborhood. In our particular neighborhood, there was a lot of kids.
Yeah.
A lot of kids just younger than Ben. And so they'd always be over at the house. And even on Sunday morning, we'd hear knocking on our back patio porch because the neighbors' kids would be coming over wanting
They
to
always
play.
wanted to come over.
Yeah.
Now, with us being a minority, did you guys feel a sense of racism or any like situations where you felt like that?
Did you feel any?
I always tell people about this one situation in Frankfurt Airport where I got randomly screened for a pat down, and the guy was asking me in German if I was from Afghanistan. And I was like, man, I mean, I don't look like I'm from Afghanistan, I think.
But he didn't know.
But he didn't know.
any better. Yeah.
And I feel like that was just like,
You were just brown.
yeah, I was just a brown person that they saw, and they're like, "Oh, he's from the Middle East, and we don't want him here." So like, I don't know what he was thinking, but like, it's just that was the only time that I felt like it was like a bit weird to me. I was like, felt kind of targeted. I don't know, like, but other than that, no, not at all. Not
Has
even like, yeah.
Anyone ever asked what your ethnicity was, and you said Filipino, and they're like, "What's that?"
Yeah, a couple
Like,
times.
what part of the what was that? Okay.
Yeah, like where is that? But yeah, it happens a couple times. But going to international school, people are generally know where a lot of countries are. So
were a lot of your friends from the school that you went to?
yeah, most of them. Yeah.
It was like 40%, 50% German,
yeah,
local.
There's
and
quite a
then
lot of
and then
Germans,
you had people from everywhere else.
literally everywhere. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy.
South Asia, Ireland, Korea, China. Yeah, just everywhere.
Mhm.
And you guys are literally in Europe. So like if you want to take a day trip somewhere, like let's
Oh my
go.
God.
Like what's the equivalent from here to San Francisco? Like if I want to go to San Francisco, what was close to Germany? I mean, I don't think it's like an hour, but maybe
Yeah,
like a day trip.
Belgium, like Paris is 4.5 hours.
Wow.
You could just
Can you
drive there in the
imagine?
morning.
So I'm assuming you guys took advantage of the fact that you guys were in Europe and you guys were close to other countries.
A ton. It was almost like
We
crazy.
did. We did.
I remember complaining a lot actually about it.
At the end.
I don't want to go to
At the end.
Paris.
Yeah,
God, we were just there last week.
How dare you make me go to Paris?
but it was every week.
But that was the best part. That was the best part. We just got tired of it, like at the end. But Irene kept pushing because she knew that eventually we were going to go home and we're going to miss it. So she was trying to push for every experience, and every weekend there was something.
Every weekend it was another random European city. I was like,
Yeah.
Well, this just tells me that between you and Irene's the risk taker.
Irene
Oh,
was the
for sure.
driver. Yeah,
For sure.
Irene was
well,
the
look at
driver.
what we're doing right now. This is her,
Well, and it's interesting because a lot of times, I think most people, right, you want to do something and the person that stops you from doing it is yourself, because
Yeah.
you
That's
talk
right.
yourself out of doing something.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And so you really need someone to really kind of push you.
Yeah.
And it sounds like Irene was the one who pushed, right? Because
Yes.
this is, it's wild.
It is.
Wild. It's wild because I think the timing, you have 3 kids, you guys had already had your house. It was like a lot.
Yeah, we had to prepare the house for renters. We had to prepare the kids. We had to prepare for school. We had to sign up for school. We had to look for a house over there. It was a very busy process, and there was a lot to do. You had to get bank accounts. You had to prepare like your stuff here in the U.S. What to do with your car. What to do with your dog. We have a dog that we had to leave behind.
Ooh.
Yeah, Lilo
Lilo.
stayed.
Lilo
yeah.
stayed.
Lilo stayed because we couldn't bring her over. Yeah, we thought we'd only be there for a year, so yeah, we just couldn't bring her.
So you guys were there during COVID.
Yeah.
How is that the reason why you guys stayed long, or
there was one extra year of COVID.
and how did they handle COVID over there?
It was quite strict. Yeah, it was quite strict. But at the end, people were just said, "Forget it, I'm done."
Give me the COVID.
Yeah, give me the COVID. People were there. I remember we had ridden our bikes to Frankfurt because you could still go around. You just had to
Oh,
wear
you
masks.
guys weren't like on lockdown or anything?
You couldn't. You could go outside the house.
Okay.
You just couldn't mingle or organize or
have parties.
or anything like that. So we rode our bikes outside because you're more than welcome to exercise and go out. So we rode our bikes, and then there was a restaurant, and it was during lockdown. There was a restaurant full of Germans, just everyone enjoying. And I thought, wow, they're just tired. The first few months, though, it was really locked down. It was so quiet. Everyone was worried. And
Oh, it was
scared.
insane here.
But I think it was better contained in Europe than it was in the US, right? I think it was just out of control. Because I think we're more saturated, and other countries is more a little spread out, right?
I don't know. I don't know what it was like here.
It was insane. Like New York, everyone was dying in New York.
Well, we definitely had, the news definitely,
Scared everybody.
like there was fear. But it was wild because, as you guys know, we deal with traffic. We deal with, it's busy. And that first month, it was a ghost town, on the street. Like there was barely any cars. People were very fearful. If you did end up going to the grocery store, I knew people who would actually wipe down the things that they bought in their garage.
That's right.
Before they even brought it in home. So there was a lot of precaution that a lot of people took.
Yeah.
On the onset of everything.
Did you guys have a toilet paper shortage over there in Germany?
Yes.
Oh, really? So it was a thing there too. I thought we were just crazy Americans.
No, it was there too.
Okay.
Yeah. What else was short?
Pasta.
Yeah, the same stuff was short there too.
It's like paper towel, cleaning supplies, of course, like the Clorox
Yeah.
wipes, hand sanitizer.
But I do have to say, at some point, people just got tired of it.
They did, and there was a small window near the end of our stay there where it opened up. I think it was around March, April timeframe. So the kids were all going to remote school, just like here, and we were all exercising in the houses and doing all that stuff. But there was a time when the borders opened up, just kind of momentarily for like a couple months. So that's when our risk taker, Irene,
She wanted to leave.
she's like, "Let's go," and I go, "Yeah, let's go." And then so we did this trip down south.
Wow.
Yeah, but during that time, everyone was still. It was as if like here you would have taken a trip at that time, and all of the tourist spots were empty. The towns and cities where during spring break would normally just be completely packed is nobody. And
Nice.
it was really, really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to say, I miss, not obviously the I don't miss COVID, but I miss how it stopped. I felt like our life was crazy. Like it was a constant, you got work, you see family, like the weekends were all like, I remember having, events on a Saturday, 3 different events that I would all go to. And it was a constant like rat race. And when we had COVID and it stopped everything, it was so refreshing in a sense that we didn't have anywhere we needed to go or to be with. We spent more time to ourselves and you didn't feel like you had to go somewhere.
I don't have
And
an
deal
excuse
with-
anymore to tell people. I can't say, oh, I have COVID. I
Yes.
can't go.
Well, and dealing with traffic, dealing with, it was a nice break.
was.
It really was. And
The whole
so,
world got a break
Oh,
during that
yeah.
time.
for sure.
It was just too long.
It was
Yeah.
too long.
It was.
Way
Yeah.
too long.
It definitely was. The part I hated about COVID was how the educational system of our kids, I thought was just, I know
Everyone
it was
struggled.
horrible. It was really horrible. I just remember Vanessa, she would be in bed and she's in her class and I'm like, what is this? Like, she literally like woke up 5 minutes ago. She turned on her computer and I'm like, get up, sit at a desk. Like, you cannot possibly be learning anything the way you're sitting or the way you're lying down. And she's like, nobody cares. And she's like, I go, get on video.
They turn off the cameras.
I go, get on video. She goes, they told us we didn't have to.
And nobody would, right?
And nobody would.
Yeah.
Everyone's
I mean,
on
there
their
would
phone.
be maybe one, very rare one kid on there. But like most of the kids, I mean, and I really do feel like that has definitely impacted her. Whether it's my fault or not, but I was busy working too. So like to get her up to I'm just glad she just signed on at that point, right?
You should be, because like, no, a ton of people just don't care. They literally just don't show up. They don't care to show up.
Yeah, they just logged in and then disappeared, maybe.
That's what most people do too. Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
they do
there's
the roll
levels-
call, right?
Well,
You
yeah.
turn on. They did the roll call.
Yeah.
At that point, you can turn on your video because they wanted
Yeah.
to see you, and then you can turn it off, and then you're gone for like. And
Yeah.
then for me, I remember being. I mean, we're all have been in these Zoom meetings, and being in a meeting for an hour. If you're not talking, you're zoning out. So my kid being in school for 3 hours, not being on camera, I'm pretty sure she learned nothing.
Yeah.
It's hard to learn.
It's a whole year wasted.
It really
There are some
is.
kids that might have liked it, but yeah, generally, probably most of them didn't like it.
I don't know. I mean, she actually, surprisingly, a lot of kids were so ready to go back to school,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
right?
Especially for the social part, I think,
yes,
Mark. Yeah.
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
So interesting. You guys kind of experienced the same thing, even though you guys were like on that other side of the world.
Yeah, the lockdowns were all there. The schooling was all remote. The working was also remote.
Yeah, it's funny.
I spent a lot of time just at my desk upstairs. And, yeah.
Were you guys sick of each other?
No,
No? Wow.
no, but
That's
we
good.
had. Well, our place, it was interesting. We had like 3 floors, and so. But I know that a lot of people during lockdown, they're in different situations where their house was much smaller. They didn't have room, so you're all bumping into each other all day, right?
Yeah.
Like the whole day. That could have been tough. And I think that's part of the reason why they allowed some kids to turn off their cameras, because they might have been,
Yep.
in a studio apartment with their family or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, moving back, so let's talk about how.
Oh,
when
coming
did
back.
you like find out that? How much time did they give you to tell you that you needed to?
a
And how
few
did they
months.
tell you? Like, go back home. Like, how did,
Well, no, you kind of knew that the project, at least the effort, that part of the effort was winding down. So some of my colleagues who are also expats, we used to have like this expat lunch, and they had already left, and it was just a couple of us left. So yeah, when it was winding down, you have your discussions with your manager, and then you just say, okay, what's the timing? What's it look like? And I said, well, I'd like to leave after the school year. So we'll go back home in August. And so that was agreed upon. And then it was planned, I think, from starting in March, because that's kind of the time when you also have to apply for the next year of school. Right. So we had about 6 months to prepare.
that's
Yeah.
not like the 10-minute.
No, it wasn't the rush when we left. Yeah. Yeah.
Isaiah, how did you feel when you found out that your guys are going to be moving back?
Oh man, it was bittersweet. It really actually was, because I did. First year was a little bit rough because it was a new school and people I didn't know and whole country I didn't know. But people there are really friendly actually. Like despite having Germans that reputation of being very cold, once you get to know them, like as strangers they're very cold. But once you get to know them,
It's not like here in the U.S.
Yeah, as
Here
strangers
in the U.S., strangers are like, "Hey, howdy, hey, how's it going?" And then they're like very talky, right? And everyone's pretty social at the surface.
Yeah.
In Germany, it's the opposite. And for an American, I think of myself as American. I go up there and just saying hi to everybody,
And they're
really
like, "Who's
cheerful.
this
Hey,
guy?"
Like no
Yeah.
reaction. Yeah.
So they're a little reserved.
It's more reserved.
Okay.
It's more reserved because it's not normal for someone to come up to you in the street and like just say hi, start talking it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I did make friends and we got close. So it was, I was gonna miss them, and then it was also like just the entire. I mean, it was beautiful, honestly. Too. Like in the back of our house, we had like these like hills and like these forest and these fields areas that I could just bike through, and like I don't know, just the whole atmosphere was. I was gonna miss it, and so I knew I was excited to go back home to San Jose, but I was also sad that I was gonna leave Germany. But yeah, to be honest, I knew that it was also gonna be like a weird transition because it was the middle of COVID, so I was going from like looking at screens all day to still looking at screens all day here in America.
Yeah.
So it was a bit weird. And I was like, okay, it's the same thing, even though I want to see my friends, I'm not going to see them still. So it's like,
we got used to living there and how to live there and the places to go and the guy who serves the chicken, the roasted chicken, the hanchin guy, these little things you get used to every day.
Wow.
And then coming back, you kind of go through an adjustment period. And in some ways, I still feel like I'm adjusting, to be honest.
I was just gonna ask how long.
I still feel it, even to today. I still feel. So I take business trips back there once in a while, and I drive by our old neighborhood, and there's this whole reminiscing feeling. And I still sometimes feel like I could wake up there tomorrow and just pick it all right back up.
It's like a 3-year adventure with your family.
Yeah. It was a kind of a dream. Yeah. And I would really recommend it for anybody. And so when the decision came and the chance came, and you have to act, and there's these moments in life where you're put in this position where I got to decide, and it's going to be huge, and my life is going to change a lot. But damn, if I'm going to say no to this, right?
Yeah.
You just got to go, push forward, do it, and jump right into the water. And that's what we did, and it was fantastic. And it could have been tough. I know that we could have had a lot more challenges, but you also know that if you didn't do it, you would have just always asked, what if?
Yep.
Right.
Yep. So Isaiah, obviously you're now in college.
Yeah.
How does this experience kind of attributed to the way you see things, do things, and as your dad pointed out, like making decisions? Because there's moments of, like I said, you can talk yourself out of something.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So how does this experience, like, how does that play into like what you choose to do going forward?
Wow, that's a really good question. It definitely has made me more inclined to choosing experiences that are, I guess, the more exciting the ones that will push me out of my comfort zone, I guess.
Out of the ordinary. Yeah.
The ones that I know that are scary, but like
It's like where you end up in school.
Yeah, I chose to go to school across the country, North Carolina, which is, it was a crazy move for me too. And I definitely think that me being already acclimated to moving across continents even was definitely helped me in that decision. Like I was already comfortable with being away from home, and I knew that Germany was worth it in the end. Like even though at first it was scary, like adjusting to all of these things, I knew that it would be worth it in the end, and that's why I was able to look at the choice. And I was like, it'll definitely be worth it in the end if I choose this. Even though it's like I could go to like a California school and it will just be like, I'll see my parents a lot, but yeah.
It feels like if you don't do these things, it's too normal for me. Like I'd also join the Navy straight out of high school. Like if we had taken normal paths, it might have just been not enough.
Got it.
Yeah.
You got to take the leap.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, out of curiosity, what did you guys miss the most about being away from California? Was it the food?
They don't have burritos.
I mean, I'm thinking
There-
food.
there
or
was
like,
one.
Like
there
they
was
don't have
one
Mexican
time.
food.
It
Like
no, not very good.
How about
No.
good Asian food, like Thai food?
Not
or-
really.
German
It's all-
Asian food.
It's all Germanized. It's
sausages
changes.
and
It changed to the local taste. So even if it's like Thai food, there's a little bit of kind of blandness to it, lack of some certain spices.
Yeah,
Not
like
enough basil.
The Thai food there was like fried chicken and like a Thai like orange sauce with vegetables. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. It's like using
and it's not
local
spicy.
ingredients.
Yeah,
yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I think about when I travel international and I've had German food, that would definitely be something I would miss.
yeah.
Is the kind of the variety of. I mean, we take it so for granted here,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
right? We can eat pretty much anything out
yeah.
here.
You Miss DoorDash Queen over here.
I know. I've come down, by the way.
We didn't have camping. That was a thing that we used to do every year. There was no camping. Or there is camping there, but it's not something that we were prepared to do because we didn't have all the
Equipment.
equipment and all that stuff. Friends that would go camping.
How about the weather? Because one of the big, great things about California is our weather. So,
well,
did you guys miss that?
the Germans complain about their weather. If it's too hot, too cold, there's a cloud in the sky. Oh, I can't. There's a big complaint, and so there might be.
Californians are like that too, though.
Yeah, and then there's like maybe 3 days out of the year where there's no complaints.
God.
But for me, going there, I thought it was fantastic weather.
So the weather it's
It's
when I
really good.
because when I think about Germany, I'm thinking like my perspective is it's cold.
Yeah.
It's a little colder. Yeah, and during the summer, it's not that hot, so it's more moderate.
Mm-hmm.
The winter has you have a little variety where it could snow there just a little bit, and then it'll be gone the next day. Yeah, it does get overcast, but I'd say it's closer to like Portland
Nice.
weather.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's not too bad.
That's normal.
Yeah, because I'm thinking colder than.
No, maybe on average it can get a little bit cooler, but
Uh-huh.
not really that bad.
Oh,
Yeah.
good to know. Well, my brother actually, I just remembered my brother used to live in Germany. He was out there, stationed there. And I remember it was just kind of odd when he said, he goes, there's a castle like down the street. And I'm like, we don't have castles. He's like, yeah, there's a castle down the
There's
street.
one in
that you can
Anaheim, but
visit."
that's about it.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm like,
You're like, what the hell?
So I would imagine like just a lot of these, the architecture, just again, the culture is so different. But
In our village, there was a castle,
uh-huh.
Dreiechenein, remember?
Yeah.
The ruins of the castle, and there's like 7,000 castles in the country.
Jeez.
Yeah,
That's
The
what
fairy tale.
he had mentioned like it's just yeah.
thousands and thousands of castles. There's certain ones that are super famous, like Neuschwanstein, but they're just so ordinary. And old things are not that cool there.
Huh.
It's not retro.
It's not. They don't have this. Well, I'm sure there's people that love the castles because they preserve them, but in generally, it's like old. What do I want? Old.
There's no fascination.
There's no fascination for us because we don't have them here. It's like super interesting, and that everywhere you go, you're thinking, "Oh, look at those ruins! How cool is that?" Because we don't have them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Haley's actually my older daughter. She's actually half German, and she's been to Germany. She's travels way more than me, but I think she went and she was 17. She got to try beer, and she was like, "It's so disgusting." And now she doesn't drink, so she doesn't like to drink, and she's 23. She was like, "It was gross. I don't know how people."
Which
drink
city
this."
was?
I don't know where she went,
Yeah.
but she did have family there, so she went with her dad. And this was a few years ago.
And of course, if I think it's misunderstanding if you think that Europe is like this perfect, happiest people in the world kind of thing, like the Finlanders are. But they have normal areas. They have like unhoused people, and poorer areas and all that stuff. It's kind of similar.
Got it. Now, did you guys participate in like here Oktoberfest? It's like huge.
We didn't go to Munich for their Oktoberfest. We had a local one in our village. So we live in that town called Dreieich, and in there in Oktoberfest they had like a parade, and then like tents and celebrations, and then they were serving beer. That was about it. Yeah.
So I'm assuming you guys didn't celebrate any of the American holidays that you guys were used to.
We had New Year's, and New Year's was off the hook. New Year's was crazy.
What do they do there? I want to know.
Yes.
Well, they fire fireworks just like us, but at the level of 2x or 3x of July 4th here.
Wow.
Locally.
Wow.
Locally.
And it's legal. Is it legal there?
I don't know if it was legal or not. They're importing fireworks from Poland or something. Wow. So our neighbor, who was quite wealthy, because he probably bought thousands of dollars worth of fireworks, and these were like professional grade fireworks,
like
and
Disneyland fireworks.
He was lighting them off, and they were huge fireworks, and the street was lit up, and then the sky was full of the fireworks.
Right in front of our street.
Yeah, right in front of our street.
Like outside of, like from our door, you could it's like right there. And
That's
you just, like, look up.
awesome. Over here, we have to drive somewhere to watch fireworks.
No, the guy was just lighting them up, and then we had bought some from the local store, just like a handful, and we would launch them, and they were like just maybe they'd go 20 feet, but even that one is a lot, right? Yeah, and everyone was just firing these things. It was illegal.
So that might be a good time to go visit Germany.
Maybe not. I don't know. It was quite dangerous. I couldn't believe it was not illegal because it was so wild and unrestrained. Yeah.
Nice. Wow.
Well, thank you, Isaiah and Paul, for joining us today and telling us these wonderful stories. And it was fun. Do you have any advice, Paul, for any family that wants to move or that has to move out of the U.S.
Isaiah first?
To another country? Do you have any advice? Yeah.
Isaiah, do you have anything?
Oh man, I don't know. Just go with the flow. Your parents, they'll do what's best for you, I guess. So.
I would say, just like I'd mentioned before, when the chance comes, just jump in. And Debbie's, like what you said, Debbie, right? Don't let your mind restrict you from going for it. Yeah, because you can wind yourself up over analyzing. Just go.
Or get an Irene.
That's it. Not my Irene, but get an Irene.
Yeah, get your own Irene.
Well, Irene could give you advice. Yeah, no problem.
Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.